Hi, Crux families. I'm super excited to be kicking off our One School, One Book with you today. In your envelope, you can open that up if you haven't already, and in it, you'll find a book that we're all going to be reading together as a whole entire school. Your teachers have worked really hard to plan some fun activities to go along with the story, and in your Canvas module, today you'll see some videos from the authors, Henry Winkler, who your parents might be familiar with, and Lynn Oliver. So make sure you check those out if you haven't already. And I'm excited because I get to read chapter 1 to you. So let's get that started now. This is a story about a boy named Hank, and it says bookmarks are people too. So let's find out about what this is all about. Chapter 1. Hank Zipser, please stop talking, Mrs. Flowers said to me at Good Citizens Don't Talk when the teacher is talking. You might even get your book out and follow along as I read. But I didn't say anything, Mrs. Flowers. Hank, I saw your lips moving with my own 2 eyes, but no sound came out, Mrs. Flowers, so technically I wasn't talking. Then what exactly were you doing? I was sending a signal. The other kids in the class laughed, which made me feel great. I wasn't trying to be funny, but it's always nice to get a laugh. My grandfather, Papa Pete, always says laughter is good, but not as good as a pickle. We're both big pickle fans. And to whom was this so-called signal being sent? Mrs. Flowers asked. To me, Frankie Townsend called out. Frankie and I have been best friends since we were babies. We have a whole system of signals. We can talk without saying a word, I told Mrs. Flowers. Oh, really? She said. That's very unusual. There was this one time in the Museum of Natural History, Frankie went on. It was amazing. Hank and I both decided to roar right in the T-Rex's face at that very same moment. It was awesome, I added, until the guard told us there was no roaring allowed in the museum. I laughed and everyone joined in. Mrs. Flowers chuckled too. She's really nice about laughing. Everyone at PS 87 wants her for 2nd grade because she's in a good mood almost all the time. She even gave me a nice try when I only got 2 out of 10 right on my spelling test last week. Well, Hank, since you're so expert at roaring and signaling, she said to me, you're going to love the next class project. I can hardly wait to hear what it is. I'm sitting on the edge of my seat. I can hardly wait for you to fall off, Nick McKelty shouted from the desk behind me. Nick, better known as Nick the Tick, never has a nice word to say about anyone. But he gets away with it because he's about 12 feet tall in every direction. That's enough, Nick, Mrs. Flowers snapped, putting her hands on her hips. But McKelty didn't seem to care that she was angry. He just went back to what he always does, rolling spitballs to launch at little kids during recess. Next week is Children's Reading Week, Mrs. Flowers went on. We will be celebrating by putting on a play. I wrote it myself. It's called A Night at the Library. Katie Sperling put up her hand and waved it around. Can I be the star? She asked. My daddy always tells me I am one. Anyway, everyone will have a part, Mrs. Flower said. Even me? Luke Whitman asked with his finger up his nose. Yes, even you, Luke. I wondered if there was a part in the play for a champion nose picker. Luke Whitman would get that for sure. I think we all know who's going to be the star, McKelty shouted. The one with the most talent, and that would be me. Then, for no reason at all, he stood up and bowed and let out one of his snorty laughs. No one else joined in. I'm going to pass out the script, Mrs. Flowers said, motioning for McCulty to sit down, read the play over the weekend, and decide which part you'd like. I felt worried, really worried. Regular second grade reading is hard for me. Reading a whole script would be nearly impossible. Frankie saw my face and sent me our "don't worry" signal. I relaxed right away because I knew he would help me. Frankie is an excellent reader. Over winter break, he read a 200-page book and didn't even have pictures. We will hold auditions on Monday, Mrs. Flowers told us. That's when you can each try out for the part that you want. Even though I knew Frankie would help me, I was starting to get very nervous. You'll have to study your lines and be very prepared, Mrs. Flowers continued. Does anyone have any questions? As usual, I had many questions. Also, as usual, I was too embarrassed to ask them. So I did what I usually did. I made a list in my head. That's chapter 1. We'll be sharing the other chapters as we go through the next week and a half and sharing some fun activities. I hope you guys enjoy the book and really enjoy working with your families and your teachers on learning more about